Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I said good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Can you guys there at the back hear me clearly? Yes. Okay, awesome. So I love it that I don't think I've ever seen the junior tux presenters be that shy as this year. I don't know, I think that they've changed the entry requirements to they've got to have introverts. There was one or two I saw that were proper extrovert. I'm one of those. If you don't know me, how many of you have actually gotten to know me a little bit? A few of you, a few familiar faces greeted me earlier. Hello, hello, hello. For those of you that have not heard me or haven't been in one of my sessions, you've missed out on something in life. There's some kind of hole in your education, a gap. But you are going to get to know me quite well today and tomorrow. My name is Sarel van Greenen. But please, those of you that's already starting to get aneurysms, just all the G's, the R's, the E's and the U's, don't worry. They call me Mr. VG. Okay? And I'm a mathematician by choice. Okay, that's a very important distinction. Okay, I'm a maths teacher by choice. It's not because I couldn't do anything else. Okay? And I'm here in the next 2 days, and I want to emphasize again, I'm here by? Okay, so are you. I'm not forcing you to be here. I'm not forcing you to listen to me. So these sessions are going to be long. 2 hours. 2 hours session today, 2 hours session tomorrow. But one of the most important things that I could ever tell you in life is you think you've got it all laid out. I can promise you, you don't. When I was your age, sir, my school came to me and said, here is a bursary to go and study education. And you know what I did? I laughed in their faces. Honestly. I said I'd never become a teacher in my life. Look where I am. It didn't last long. Okay? I studied to become an actuary. I studied BSc Actuarial Sciences. Finished it, and then chose to become a math teacher. Doesn't seem like a financially wise decision, but I said in my life, I'm going to work for love and I'm going to get married for money. Unfortunately, my wife didn't get the same message, so I married for love. Now I'm working for money. Not a lot, I'm a teacher, so. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you to feel welcome. And I'm going to say the following. Please, please, please get this. I am not here today to prescribe to you how you have to do life, how you have to do maths. I'm not. I'm number one, not that arrogant. And number two, I believe that, and I'm going to talk about someone, I'm not really prepared for this slide today, but that's all right. Life happens when you're making other plans. I'm going to be I wanted to update this before I was presenting it to you guys tomorrow, but I'm going to update it on the fly. I'm going to be talking about someone called George Pólya. I know it's weird, okay. If you are European, it might not be that weird, but I want to talk about George Pólya to you guys for a moment. Okay, so excuse me while I just get my stuff going here again. Here we go. Come on, baby. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. So, I'm going to be talking a little bit about a guy called George Pólya. Now, is there any of you that really loves mathematics a lot? You don't have to be shy. Okay? One here, a few in the back. Go and Google this guy, George Pólya. Now, I'm going to write his name here for you guys. George Pólya. Okay? Now, George Pólya, he wrote a book in the 1940s. So that was probably before most of you were even a twinkle in your parents' eyes, and some of your parents were not even twinkles in their parents' eyes. Now, George Pólya is the father of problem solving in the mathematics world. And he wrote a book in, I think it was 1946 or 48. A whole book just about mathematical problem solving. But I've come to realize that actually most of this is not just about mathematical problem solving, it is about problem solving. Life problem solving. So, I'm going to focus on two things. And the first thing that I want to quickly say, first little thing. If you are an 80 or a 90 percenter, I want to challenge you today. I want to challenge you. For every single sum you do, I want you to find as many approaches, as many different ways of solving the problem as you can possibly do. George Pólya said in his book, it's better to solve one problem in 5 different ways than solving 100 problems in one way. Who can tell me why is that? Come on, grade 12s. In 1 year from now, you guys are busy studying, and a teacher, or not a teacher, you guys are not going to have teachers, you're going to have professors, are going to look at you and go, you've got to agree or disagree with me. How many of your teachers are like that currently? Be honest. No one. If you disagree with your teacher, then you disrespect them, right? Yeah. You've got to unlearn that very quickly. Because at varsity, if you don't disagree, the professor will look at you and go, you're not ready to get a degree. Okay? Because if you don't disagree with someone, it means you're not thinking. So I want to know, who can tell me why you need to solve? Why is it better to solve one problem in 5 ways than solving 100 problems in one way? Yes, sir. Yeah, please. The guy's the back down here.
Well, surely if you solve 100 problems in one way, and you only know one way of doing everything, and if you already know how to solve one problem in one way, then by doing other problems, you're not learning anything new. But if you do 5 different ways, you've got different approaches, and you learn something new.
Oh, thank you, Walter. Okay. Well done. Well done. That's a perfect answer I was looking for. As one of my colleagues said, because I'm a mathematics head of department at Livorno College of the Royal Bafokeng, he said to me the other day, he said, the thing is, exactly what you said, if I can solve one problem in 5 different ways, the first 1 or 2 or maybe 3 ways are obvious. Obvious. But when you start having to think about solving a problem in 4 or 5 different ways, now you've got to start thinking out of the box. Imagine a simple question like x squared minus 3x equal to 4. 3 ways are obvious. Factorize, quadratic formula, Third one for some of you already is a problem. Completing the square. Yeah. What about 4? Fifth way. Eish. That's a problem. That's a big problem. So ladies and gentlemen, you need to start doing that. Because the reality of the world out there is you are going to be faced with so many problems where there's no textbook that's going to tell you how to solve it. Good luck when you're a parent. Good luck. You know, one of my mates there, he's doing the video recordings. Chris, you know, he's got 3 wonderful, amazing, always, you know, best behaved kids, right? Always. And I've only got 1 kid, so I sometimes feel myself blessed, but yes. Are your 3 kids, did you have to raise them the same way every time?
No, that'd be a fail.
Exactly. It'd be a fail. Because what you try with the 1 kid, you try with the 2nd kid and it doesn't work, right? Try it with the 3rd kid and it's like hell on earth. Yeah? Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to start thinking for yourself. I promise you, it hurts initially, but you're going to have to. If you want to change the world and you don't want to be just another normal, regular person, you are going to have to start thinking for yourself. That's why you've got to start thinking about different kind of approaches. The second thing that I feel like I just have to share at the moment is you're going to have to learn to start thinking bigger picture. How focused have you been on your final exams? Be honest with me. Just focused, right? You not. And you? What have you guys been focusing on?
Resting.
Say again? Resting. But before your tiredness now? Prelims. So it's all about the tests, right? And it's all about what's coming right after this, right? Ladies and gentlemen, let me quickly share a picture with you guys. It's not on here, but I'm going to share it in any case. I'm just, as I said, I'm winging it today. If this is your life from birth up to death, 0, 72. Why 72? Common age of death. I like that. Actually, common age of death in South Africa is about 48. That's average lifespan. Okay, 48, 49, 50. But the Bible says if you live to the age of 72, that is a blessed life. So let's say you're going to live till the age of 72. Where are you currently? Currently, you are, roughly speaking, about there. Please let that sink in. Currently, you are about 25% through your life. What percentage is still left, those of you that are here for maths? What is the most important part to be focused on? Ooh. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to start thinking right. This exam, yeah, it is very important. It's going to be with you for the rest of your life. Every time you apply for a job, you're going to have to put your senior certificate. You have to tell her what subjects you did, even though I'm turning 40 in less than a month's time. 2 weeks. Yeah, getting old. It sucks at times. Okay, but even now, I still have to put on my CV where I did my matric, what results did I get for which subjects. So it's going to stay with me for the rest of my life. But it is what you are going to do. It is what you are going to do for the rest of that 75% that you are going to be known for. So many of my friends, top 10s, failed at varsity, or got their degrees and did absolutely bugger all with their life. They're not going to be known for anything. I decided, that's nonsense. I want to make the most of this 75% because that is what I'm going to be known for. And I've been blessed enough to get amazing opportunities and do something, but it didn't come without a lot of effort and wisdom on my side. So, I want you, ladies and gentlemen, to start thinking realistically. That 75% is where you need to start focusing on. You need to start thinking, what kind of a person do I want to be? What kind of a change do I want to make in this world? And if you've got no idea, you need to start thinking about those things. But now the question comes, why am I here today? I am here, ladies and gentlemen, for something else as well. I'm here to help you with exam prep. Okay? It is the preparation conference in any case. So I need to, first of all, help you with your exam prep. So I want to give you in your hand today the 4 phases of problem solving. And this is not a maths thing, I just want to say, this is a life thing. But according to George Pólya, there are 4 phases to any problem solving. It's unfortunately not in this booklet, but it's similar, and I will get back to the booklet when we get to it. Number 1, and this is very much my own paraphrasing of George Polya's 4 phases of problem solving. He doesn't use the word digging, I use it. Step 1 is to dig. Get as much information as you can from the information provided to you. Unfortunately, that's where a lot of you guys struggle, especially if your first language is not English. I teach in a school where 95% of our learners are Setswanas, or Setswana speaking Setswanas, sorry for making it 2 up. So 95% of the students in my class are not English first language speakers. So, and that's, I think, close to where it is in this hall as well. Honestly, whom of you are first language or home language English speakers? Look around you. This is scary. It's like maybe 10 in this group. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, that's the reality of your life. I'm not home language English speaker as well. I'm home language Afrikaans. I'm a real boertjie if my name didn't give it away. Okay? But the reality of life is, ladies and gentlemen, everywhere you're going to go is going to be English, English, English everywhere. So you can either use it as an excuse, or you can overcome it and become an inspiration for other people. How do you overcome it? Well, studying, unfortunately. But let me quickly give you a nice little tip. Go and Google Oxford 3000 or Oxford 5000 if you want to be like super fancy. The Oxford 3000 is actually, do I want to flex or not? Maybe flex, okay. Since I'm an examiner for the IEB, for the Independent Examination Board, where I set up the further study mathematics paper for May and June. Let me just flex that one a little bit, okay? When we went for them training us how to set up final matric exams, they told us, when you set up an exam, as an examiner, you must choose words that come out of this list. The Oxford 3000. That is 3,000 words that any matriculant must know to be able to write their matric final exam. For if you do English home language, you've got to look at the Oxford 5000. Okay? That's the only subject where you can choose words from the Oxford 5000. The only exception to the rule, of course, is your words that are native to specific subjects, like specifically maths. And all the maths terminologies are not going to be in there. And that's all right, because it's native to maths. But for me, if I look at my exam, a simple word is something like acquire. What does acquire mean? To get something. If you didn't know that, you're in trouble, because that's part of the Oxford 3000. And if in an exam they tell you, you acquired a vehicle, then you have to understand that the person bought it. They didn't sell it. Or I don't know what else you might think. Or if you acquire, you might have been singing to it, I don't know. Okay? Sorry, that's real bad jokes, that one. So if you want to upskill yourself, you still have time. But please, ladies and gentlemen, remember, you're not just studying for NALS exams, you're studying for your university exams as well. And there the professors care even less. Sorry to burst your bubble. Your first 2 to 3 years of varsity, the professors are not going to give a damn about you. Sorry. You're going to sit in a class between 200 and 400 kids. They don't care. Only when you hit 3rd year and 4th year, maybe in some cases 5th year, will the professors actually get to know your names? And when will they actually start caring about you, because they know in this hall like this with 130 kids. Let it sink in for a moment. I'm talking statistically. Less than 50 of you are going to graduate. Because less than 40% of all first years actually finish their degrees. So the professors are not going to start caring about you before 3rd year, because then they know you're serious. And you're going to sit in a hall. How many are going to study BCom? 400 in your class. Every class. And you're going to be one of 3 classes. So one professor would teach 1,200 students in first year. That's a different scale. So you have to learn to upskill yourself. Now, we are going to be talking about digging when we go back to the slides. But let's look at number 2. Number 2 is arguably the most difficult one. Make connections. I know that's why some of you are here. Some of you have already started getting phone numbers. Some of you have already asked 1 or 2 people out on a coffee date after this. Are you from Pretoria? Yes, okay. There's a nice coffee shop just around the corner. That's not the kind of connections I'm talking about. Making connections is the ability to look from what I've got to what I need. What have I gotten from my digging? What information do I have? And where am I going to go? And then the most difficult parts of it all, and this is where Walter and that was very cleverly is going to, how am I going to get there? That's the most difficult part. Because I'm telling you guys now, from the get-go, okay, let me not tell, let me ask. How many of you, honestly, please raise your hand, when you see a maths problem, you do not start writing an answer until you've planned out the whole sum? Wow, that's more than I expected. Some of you are like, ain't got no time for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say this. That's the reason why some of you might not be getting distinctions. It's a bit of a burn, but that's all right. You'll be all right. Ladies and gentlemen, please do understand, 60% of first year varsity students do not make it past calculus. 60. Why? 2 reasons. Number 1, their toolboxes are empty. Because maths is not a study subject. Biggest nonsense in the world. Number 2, the toolbox is unorganized. We don't plan. We just run in. And hope and pray we get to the right answer. Look at that smile. Ladies and gentlemen, you need to start making connections. You need to start looking. I like to call it the monkey behind the mountain, and we are going to look at that when we get to about slide 2 or 3. Okay, just want to quickly, yeah. Okay. Then, number 3, which is your favorite. Try it. I know most of you, when you look at your exam, you're just like, I'm going to run at this thing and I'm going to hope and pray to get to the right answer. Because there's no time to plan a math sum. I've just got to do it. Yeah? Not necessarily a bad thing. I have to write this down. I call this method the Gungho method. Okay? Call it the Gungho method. Have you ever heard about that terminology? Nah. It was coined in the First World War. How many of you remember that war? You remember that? Were you there? But in the First World War, they said that was the war to end all wars, apparently, but then the Second World War came in. In the First World War, they coined the term Gungho for kids. I'm saying kids because you are still kids, not joking. But for soldiers your age, 18, 19 years old, who literally went out of their minds because of all the trauma of killing someone else. So they literally went out of mind. They would run into battle and not care who the hell is in front of them. They would just shoot. Just go grrr, and shoot anything, like some of you play Call of Duty. Okay? Because they literally lost their mind. Now, this is the way that I have seen, and I've been a teacher now for close to 20 years. I still see it every single day in my class. How do I determine a y value? Make it 0! No. I'm not saying a y-intercept. A y value. You've got to substitute the x value into your graph, whatever the x value is. I had a student, Mr. Almeida knows her well, about 6-7 years ago. She was in our maths class, she was in our school, because we taught together. It's 8 years, eh? Yeah, we're getting old. But she did her matric about 9 years ago. She could never get above 72% for maths, never. She would take a sum, 5 marks, write a full page, scratch it out, try it over again, scratch it out, try it over again, and still only got 3 out of 5. Why? She just ran into the sum. She didn't care where she's going, but she just wrote down what came up in her mind. Is the Gungho method bad? No. Do you guys, when I work out an exam paper, do you think I sit, how long do you think it takes me to write out a matric final exam paper, to practice it? Okay, I take about an hour and 15 minutes to do a whole 3-hour paper for you guys. Do you think I sit and think at most of the sums? No. Why not? Because I've done it so many times. I don't have to go and sit and dig too much and make connections too much. Only when it comes to, how many of you are in independent schools? Those section B questions, that last 3 questions. There I've got to sit and think, okay. Let's think about, ladies and gentlemen, paramedics. When a paramedic, say you were in a car accident, I'm just picking on you, and you're lying there and you're dying. And the paramedic comes to you and he stops and he looks at the fellow paramedic and goes, what do you think is the best way we must handle this? Do you think we must do this or this or this? And the other guy goes, nah, I don't think we must do that. I think, what about we try this new method? Are you going to be happy with that paramedic? No. They have to get in, stabilize, pull her out, save her life, go on with life. They don't think too much. But what makes them good at what they do? They've got qualifications. They've done it 1,000,000 times. Therefore, they can use the Gungho method. Gentlemen, let's quickly talk. Ladies, now you're going to be amazed at my knowledge of females. Gentlemen, now you listen. Gungho method is the worst method in the world if you ever want to try and solve a woman's problems. You have to learn to dig. Because the way that women solve problems are by digging. And a lot of times in each other's backyards. How are you doing? Oh, the day has been so bad. Everything is so bad. And this person said this, and that person said this, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened. And in the end, all the problems are just like, oh, they're gone. Gents, really, I'm not joking, that's how it works. Am I right? Yeah. Really, my wife does it quite often. She comes to me and says, this happened, and my sister did this, and my mother did this, and then this happened, and then we got this school and this school. As a man, I'm focusing here. I'm like, okay, so what must I say to your sister? Must I go and beat up your mother? Must I go and, and then she's talking and she's talking and she's talking. In my mind, I'm playing squash. I'm feeling like 10, like, what problem? Okay, next problem. And then she looks at me and goes, oh, thank you, my love. I love you so much. And then she leaves. And then I said, I've got now all the problems. And I haven't solved anything. I was wondering who the hell I was going in the club, And she's like, oh, everything is gone. Yeah, men, that's how women solve problems. They talk about it. Now, how do we as men solve problems? Huh? We try something. No, actually, we do something. Okay, ladies, now your time to listen up. A guy does not want to talk about his problems. Do not nag him. Otherwise, you're going to be the problem. Us guys, we want to get on the soccer field. We want to get in front of the PC and kill someone. You go and you just, I don't know why people love the MMA, but I mean really those guys club each other, We just love to watch it, And when you've done it and you've played when you're on the basketball court, what sport do you like, sir? Soccer. If you come off the soccer field and you've just ran your heart out after a bad day, how much better do you feel? 1,000%. Ladies, give your man space. When he's done after the soccer field, he'll come back and be a better man. But if you're going to be like, how are you, my lovey? And he looks at you and goes, fine. I can see you're not fine. I'm fine. Like, talk to me. He's like, whoa, I'm fine. Leave it. If you ask one more time, you are going to become the problem. One, just leave it. I don't want to talk about this. There's nothing wrong with it. Ah, then gentlemen, another life hack. Whatever you give a woman, she's going to give you 1,000% back. Just be careful. You give her love, she's going to give you that back. You yell at her, she's going to give you that back. 100%, 1,000%, I promise you. That's why ladies can have feuds for decades. Because neither of them want to just step away, they want to give each other back 10 times back. I'm seeing you, ladies. We as men, we just clap each other, we get it over with, and we just hang out again. Ladies, be clever, don't become the problem. My wife literally looks at me and goes, you need to get to your friends. Because I know when you get back, you're going to be a better person. Then I realize how crappy I think. I'm like, yeah, no, it's fine. It's true. Then I hang out with my buds and then life's good again. But ladies and gentlemen, then we get to the fourth thing that none of you, or very few of you, ever do. Reflect. As a teacher, I I'm very different, and I love it. I love being different. The best answers I've ever gotten in my class was when I ask students, does this make sense? And they look at me as if I'm speaking some kind of Northern European language, like Russian, as if we're going to know, because what the hell do you mean, sir? I'm like, this answer you got, does it actually make sense? Yeah, but sir, you use the formula. I'm like, I'm not saying that. I'm not asking is there a mistake. I'm asking, does it make sense? And then they still look at me, and I'm like, okay. Your answer was 23.5. But we were talking about the number of kids on the bus. Who is so short that they can only be 0.5? And then they just look at me and go, oh, that's what you mean, sir. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest sins of our generation, your generation, not mine, I'm too old to be part of this generation, is social media made you guys believe that your voice must be heard. Everyone has an opinion, and that's fine. But sometimes I can keep an opinion to myself as well. Just because the two of us have beef doesn't mean the rest of the world must know about it. Yes, you may talk about it, but you've got to understand whatever you say has consequences. Ask the lady who got on a flight in the USA, and she tweeted about something about the blacks in South Africa, about some racist tweet. And when she put on her phone, when she landed in South Africa, there was a message from her boss saying, don't even bother to come back to work. Bye. That really happened. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a voice, but you also have a choice. And the choice is going to have consequences. You have to think, reflect, what's going to happen if I say this? What's going to happen if I do this? Before you do it. Unfortunately, your brain is not fully developed yet. Did you guys know that? The newest research, life science students, come on. What's the newest, the latest, who said there in the back, I think you're going to study MBCHB? Who said it earlier? Come on, who said it? Ah, you dream, I wish. 30 to 35. It used to be 25, then they readjusted it to 28. The latest research shows your brain is only fully developed by 30 to 35. There's as you're pointing to it, what do we call it? The prefrontal cortex, which is a part of your brain which deals with things like long-term goals, consequences, cognitive functions, controlling your emotions. And that's why I love teaching at Boyzone. Guy jumps off of a roof, breaks his leg, and you look at him and you go, really? You were about to play for the first team tomorrow. Didn't you think? And he's like, no, sir, you did me. And you're like, really, did you not? No, sir. It all sounds negative, but it really isn't. It means sometimes your brain is not developed enough to think about what all the bad things that can happen. That's why you guys must change the world, because you don't care enough about what everyone is going to say against you. When you become our age, in the 30s and 40s, you start thinking, I mustn't do this because what if this, that, and this, and this, and this, and this. By the time you stop thinking, you are sitting with what we call analysis paralysis. It's actually a terminology, I didn't make it up. Where you analyze a situation so much that you cannot proceed to do anything. You guys don't suffer from that, and that's all right. Go and change the world because you don't care. Think about someone like Greta Thunberg, 15, 16-year-old girl, taking on the world nations, okay, telling them you guys are crap, okay, stop what you are doing. 30, 40-year-old be like, yes, I don't ever want to have a job tomorrow. She doesn't care. She's all over the world, changing the world. Maybe when she's in the 30s, she won't have done it. So, let's get back to the mathematics. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you start your exam, and now this you can start looking on the piece of paper. You have to first ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, what has been given? Okay, can I just quickly say the following for you to actually think about this is a conscious decision. This is not going to come naturally to most of you. What deductions are there from the standard forms, theorems, formulas? And then the last point I do want to quickly just point out for you, that last little point. Elimination of irrelevant theories and formulas. What do I mean by that? The question is about parabolas. Okay, great. Now I open my toolbox. I think about parabolas. Do I have to think about hyperbolas? No, so I don't have to worry about asymptotes. I don't have to worry about log functions. I train myself to put those things aside and only think here. A professor at the University of Stellenbosch said this is one of the main reasons why students fail calculus. They try and look at all the maths all the time, and you can't. Is there any of you that's going to study AXI, actuarial sciences? Okay. Hey! Your first year June exam is about 470 pages in one textbook in one of your 6 subjects. Calculus. You learn to be very clever at eliminating things you don't need because they're not relevant. Same with if you go and study things like being a doctor, dentist. If I'm a doctor and a guy's knee is sore, I'm not going to be worrying about his back, his vertebrae in his back, or the headache. I'm going to focus on his knee. So please learn to eliminate what is irrelevant. Second question. What is the question really asking? So, I love to call it the monkey behind the mountain. What is it? The question is, prove this thing is a cyclic one. That thing is not, that's not actually what they're asking you. They're actually asking you to maybe prove this angle equal to that angle. That's actually the question. Or prove this thing squared is equal to that times that. 7 marks. Actually, they're asking you to prove 2 triangles similar to one another. That's the question. That's what I like to call the monkey behind the mountains. A very important thing, what is my RTP required to prove? Ladies and gentlemen, here's a scary little thing. In geometry, if you can write down what you need to prove. Even if you can't do the sum, you get 1 mark. So if they say to you, prove this line is a tangent to this imaginary circle, okay, RTP, that angle must be that angle. That's 1 mark. If you didn't know that, now you do. Third question, and this is the most difficult question. How can I answer the question? As George Pólya said, 1 problem, 5 different ways. For those of you that are 80s and 90%ers, you have to find at least 2, 3 different ways. Because you don't know what the examiner is going to come up with. Even though the IEB examiner paper 1 is one of my close mates, I don't know what the hell he's going to ask. My friend, my students have asked me to bribe the guy a few times, but no. Okay? I don't know what's coming. I'm alright with that. My students are not, but I am. So when you practice, challenge yourself to find at least 2 methods to solve that problem. If you can, 3 or more, if you've got time. But plan your sum. I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to do this, but then I'm going to do this. Because a lot of times in your planning, you are seeing the fallacies of your own thinking. I want to do this is equal to this. And then I'm saying this is equal, wait, no, this is nonsense. Okay, let me try a different thing. Plan the sums out. And a very important thing about planning your sum out, and this is why I want to challenge you guys to do it, is mark allocation. I've seen so many times. This past week I had my grade 11s. I love them. And this one guy, well, him and his mate, yeah, they are such hard-working students, but most of the times, they want to go to Cape Town via Durban. So they want to go to Cape Town, but they're traveling all the way. And then I'm like, but didn't you see that thing is a cyclic quad? Oh, sir. So I didn't have to do 5 steps, I could have done 1. Because understand, there's only 2 kids who finish a maths exam. The kid who knows everything and the kid who knows nothing. That's realities. Okay? Be clever about it. Now, okay, that is for this PDF. You can, it's on there, I think it's got printed as well for you guys, is it? Is it not? Snap a photo of that. That is to get this thing on PDF. Okay, for this one. So if you want to whip out your phone, snap, not a selfie, please. Okay, but you can snap a PDF, the QR code for this. You can then have it and keep it at home. So what I would like you to do, and you know what guys, it's already been an hour, hashtag just saying. Yeah? I wish maths would go by this fast, right? Yeah. Okay. What we are going to do for this next hour is I am going to put up certain sums. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Not to do this lesson matrix. Because I know half of you are fast asleep. Lesson. Don't answer the question. Plan the sum. That's all I want you to do. I want you to take this question, for instance. And I don't want you to answer the sum. I want you to say Ask those 3 questions for yourself. Number 1, what was given? What are they actually asking me to do? Thirdly, how am I going to get there? And I want you to think of 2 different methods of solving this sum. You are allowed to work with your mates, and I am going to give you, just for this first one at least, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about this sum. Enjoy it, ladies and gentlemen. So, let's go through the information. A golf ball is hit from point A to point B. Okay, so let me just quickly get to my slide. There we go. Come on, baby. I love technology. Okay, there we go. Okay. So a golf ball is hit from point A to point B. I wish we could hit golf balls like that. They usually go much lower in very wrong directions. But yeah. A golf ball is hit from point A to point B. Point A is 30 meters vertically above the ground. I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. The path of the flight of the golf ball is placed in the Cartesian plane so that A is on the y-axis. Okay. There, I like that. So actually, there's a y-axis and that's the x-axis. Sorry. The math, she's broken. The math is not mathing at the moment. Okay. Here we go. So y-axis and x-axis. Okay, great. Walter, what is that? Point A is 30 meters vertically above the ground. Tell me about the graph.
About the graph, sir?
Yeah.
Well, that's the y-axis.
Danko. So in other words, it is a parabola, so C is 30. So it is 0, 30. I don't think there's more, right? Okay. Now we get to interesting points here. Point B is 300 meters away from A at the ground level. What the hell does that mean? So what do you say? X-intercept. Okay, I like it. Okay. So x-intercept, so I'm making connections here. So my x-intercept is at 300, 0. Okay, I like it. The path of the ball is modeled by y equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Why is this important? You tell me quickly. So in other words, this is the ball is modeled by by the equation of a parabola. But please again understand, let's quickly jump to question 2, let's make connections. Please remember, ladies and gentlemen, that I could also write this as this. Or I could write it as this. Okay, so I've got 3 options at least. Okay? Can somebody please tell me, how do I get from this form to that form? Yes? Oh, you are a fantastic student, because you do exactly what your teacher told you to do. Your teacher told you to do that, right? What is the second option? So I can find the x value of the turning point, and that gives me P. The y value of the turning point, and that gives me Q. And then I have the A that I can read off. So do I actually have to complete the square? So completing the square is useless, right? I love how you guys say yes. Till you get to first year varsity and the professor tells you, please rewrite it from this form to that form by completing the square. And there's no other method you can do. Is it coming? Calculus. Ladies and gentlemen, there is only one way sometimes of doing things and completing the square. You have to practice for calculus. So please go and practice completing the square. Just do 2 or 3 of them. I try to avoid it because my students suck at it. Okay? But you've got to go and practice it for first year varsity. Now, so, the ball passes through the point 200, 30. So what does that tell you? Please tell me. So what's your name? Milani. Okay, what does that tell you? It is some random point, right? It is some random point there, 200, 30. Right? It is just some useless random point. Okay, great. So glad no one objects to my uselessness of that point. Is it not useless? Why is it not useless? Yes, Walter?
So because it's the same y coordinate, halfway between that you'll find the turning point.
Oh my goodness. I can see he's in an IEB school. Not because he's so clever, but the past 4 or 5 years, if you can't think about symmetry, you can't answer the matric final papers. Ladies and gentlemen, always look for symmetry. I have 2 y values that are exactly the same. 30, 30. Exactly in between these 2 x values, between 0 and 200, you are going to find your axis of symmetry. In the IEB schools, the government schools not so much. But in the IEB schools, the past 4 or 5 years, you couldn't answer the matric exam papers if you do not think about symmetry. What is beautiful here is what's the other x-intercept? Somebody said it there at the back? Negative 100. Why is it negative 100? Because symmetry. There is 200 between those. There is 200 between those. So if this line had to continue, it is going to cut at negative 100. So I could use that formula. I could use that formula. Or if you're not clever, not that clever, you could use that formula. Why do I say not that clever? Because some of you would have just randomly plonked in points and hope and prayed you get to the answer. That's all right. I'm not judging you too harshly. But ladies and gentlemen, that would be a hell of a lot of extra work, am I right? The reality of it is, most of you would have given up. So I encourage you to not just run into a problem like this, but Plan it out. Now let's quickly look. Determine what? Now we get to the actual question. The maximum height. In other words, the question is actually about the turning point. Now the beautiful thing is, if you were clever, you already know the x value is 100. Now, I just need the y value. But now let's think about planning this sum out. How do I get a y value on a graph? Substitute the x value into the equation. So what do I need first? The equation. So I've got to now think, how am I going to get the equation? Well, I've got three options. Easy, medium, difficult. Your choice. I would not use, actually, this one. Y equal to ax minus p squared plus q. I would use that one, because I've got the 2x intercept. And then I can just substitute in to get the a value. And then I just substitute in to get the corresponding y value. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're practicing, stop doing it alone. Start practicing with mates. Come one Saturday morning, 5 or 6 hours. Sounds a lot until you start practicing. And then you guys attempt the sums. Question 1, and you do the question, okay, let's compare notes. How did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? Man, what the hell were you thinking? And then they tell you, you're like, oh, flip, I never thought about that. It also helps to have a really, really clever person in the room, you know? It really does. That's why I always had my friends over, because they're much cleverer than I am. Not just joking, I'm the cleverest guy in the room. Okay. And so humble. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get back to the practice. Okay. I want you guys, there we go. I want you, okay, now I'm just going to give you 5 minutes. Plan out your sum. In a geometric sequence that is given, Tn is that, determine the value of W. You have 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Plan it out for me. And again, if you are clever and you're done after like 2 minutes, get a second or third option. Not wrong. Not wrong. Okay, just for interesting, what is your add-on? What's your add-on? What's your add-on?
Well, the first one is going to be W, the third, well, minus 1, so it's going to be a third W, and then it's going to be a nice W, and then a 9 divided by a third is a third.
There's another method.
Is there another method? Okay, I'll figure it out.
You're going to go for. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Typical IEB question. Definitely. Our IEB examiners love it. They love to kill students. Because it's not difficult. In a geometric sequence, okay, so let's look at question at the first option. So let me just again get here. Okay, boom. There we go. I'm going to quickly, oh, so many things I've done. There we go. Okay. In a geometric sequence, okay, so what do I know? And what does that mean? It sounds silly, but I really honestly believe, I want to quickly say something interesting. My father-in-law, I love my father-in-law. Number one, he looks like Paul Kruger, really, really, really does. He's actually descendant from Paul Kruger's cousin. He said an interesting thing, and those of you that have lived your whole life believing you get math people and you get language people, my father-in-law said something very interesting, because he has a Bible translation company. Where they have, I think at the moment, about 1,000 translators from all over the world who's translating the Bible into those people's mother tongues. And he said something interesting. He said the best Bible translators in the world, no, I'm lying, not the best Bible translators, the best consultants, those are the people that check the Bible translators, are scientists. Because it's exactly the same thinking that goes into languages, goes into doing maths and science. And it is the truth. Because whether I say you are an idiot, or whether I say you are the idiot, small difference in word, big difference in meaning, okay? That's why I place so much emphasis on words. Like it tells me it's a geometric sequence. Okay, therefore I don't have to look at quadratics. I don't have to look at arithmetic. I can only look at geometric. So in other words, I know automatically A is term 1, R is term 2 over term 1, Tn is equal to AR to the n minus 1, Sn is AR to the n minus 1 over R minus 1. That I know. Okay? If you swap the R and the 1 around, I'll forgive you as long as you do it top and bottom. Okay, now we can quickly go to S5. Automatically, before I do anything, I bring in a formula. Another reason why a lot of matrics and grade 11, but matrics get things wrong, is they just go, oh, and then move on. No, go, oh, what does it mean? And then you move on. So if I look at S5, automatically I know that S5 is AR to the 5 minus 1 over R minus 1. And this must equal 605 over 243 must be equal to AR to the 5 minus 1 over R minus 1. Everyone all right with it? Great. Now let's take a look at the next little bit of information. And Tn is that. Okay, so Tn, which is A times R to the n minus 1, must be equal to W times 3 to the negative 1. Easy class. Okay. Problem? Do not be in a hurry. That's how writing exams. I know. A lot of students said R was 3. I already hear some giggles here on the left. R can't be 3 because in this one, R is a positive, and in that one, or N is a positive, and in the other one, N is a negative. So you cannot just read off and go, R is 3. Okay? There's something else also that tells me R is not 3. But this is, and you said something earlier, Miss, that it is experience. I see that divided by 243. And that is 3 to the power of 5. Now you're just like, how the hell did you get that so quickly, sir? I'm just awesome. I'm not awesome like that. That kind of tells me, ladies and gentlemen, that my R should be a fraction, like 1/3 to the positive n. Now I can say R is 1/3 because I'm comparing 1/3 to the n and R to the n. And those of you that do further study mathematics knows our favorite method of solving equations is look what's happening on the left. What's happening on the right? Well, left must be right. So whatever's on the left must be equal to whatever's on the right. That was the other method that I wanted you to see. Okay? Compare left and right with each other. R must be 1/3, but it only happens because positive n's and positive n. What else can I get? Well, I can get T1. W over 3. That's just plugging in with 1. Now what must I do? I'm going to take these values, I'm going to substitute them in to that formula. No, sorry, wrong one. I'm only seeing half of the picture here, sorry. Into that one, and into that one. I've got R. The question is, solve W. So now I'm going to sub in and solve, because I've got R's value, I've got A, then you're just going to solve. And honestly, guys, this is out of the trick exam. IEB, tough, sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, let's move on. Because time is running out. You've got 25 minutes left. Okay? Now, okay, so I'm going to ask you, just give a moment before you jump into anything. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to just analyze the information and put whatever you've got on the sketch. That's it. Take 5 minutes and do that, and then we'll worry about the rest. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly go through this. Okay. So let's quickly look at this, and let's try and, okay, there we go again, there we go. In the diagram, TR is a diameter. So it's really weird that they've got this weird little squiggly dot there. I'm reckoning that we can assume that's the center of the circle. No, you can't. Because they didn't say it to you. There's only 2 things you are allowed to assume. Number 1, cyclic quads. Number 2, straight lines. Like I can assume TPS is a straight line because it looks like a straight line. I may not assume tangents, centers of a circle, parallel lines. Those have to be given. Grade 12s, please, 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 please. Never assume tangents. I've seen so many times that line bloody well looks like a tangent. Everyone uses it as a tangent. And then question B asks, prove it is a tangent. Now you've answered the whole of question A because it is a tangent. Now they're asking you, prove it is a tangent. You're like, I'm screwed. Next question. Please, please, please. So let's quickly go through this. TR is a diameter. So TR is a diameter, which therefore means I can only use theorem 3. If I've got a diameter, I've got 90 degrees all around there. Be careful also, if there is a tangent and a diameter, I can use theorem 7. A radius perpendicular to a tangent. Please be careful of that. Let's move on. BRKT is a cyclic quad. Okay, sorry, I apologize, this is a DBE paper. They're not going to tell you always it is a cyclic quad. The IEB never does. So please look out for it. So I go take my coloring pen and I color in my 2 halves. So automatically I have that angle, 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 that angle. Automatically. I go and color in all I've got. Theorem 5 I'm not going to worry about because I'm lazy. No, because I don't have real values except for the 90s. But P1 is equal to T1 and 2 or R1 I mean, P3 is equal to, well, 90. Okay, but that's not much of a problem for me. It is a 90, so let's put it in as a 90. Why? Because I can. Okay, chords TP and KR are produced to intersect at S. So in other words, they're extended, meaning it's straight lines. Chord PK is drawn such that PK is equal to TK. So I have this line, this beautiful line here, equal to that beautiful line there. So automatically I'm looking for isosceles triangles. So that angle there is that angle there. Okay, let's hit the pause button. So automatically P1 is T. But T is also equal to R1. Okay? Which might come in useful in the future. Have I looked at any of the questions? No, but I've already answered most of them. I have. I'm a clever cookie sometimes. Just sometimes. Let's quickly look, ladies and gentlemen, at the actual questions. Question 10.1. Prove that SR is a diameter of the imaginary circle. Okay, let's think. Now we get to question 2. What are they actually asking you? Prove that?
P3 is 90.
But we have that. Because if P3 is 90, it must lie opposite a diameter. Oh, so I've just now got to write it down. So this is the way I do geometry, and therefore I will always get 80% for geometry. SR is a diameter, so my RTP is that angle P3 is 90 degrees. So now I've got to ask myself, how can I do that? I've got two options. P1 and 2 is 90. So I can relate this to P1 plus P2. And therefore angles on a straight line. Ta-da! I've planned out my sum. So I was going to write it out better for the examiner, but now I know exactly I've got to do 2. My problem that I have with the way most students do geometry is they kind of do this. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Prove that SR is a diameter. How the flippin' hell do I get P3 to be 90? And then all of a sudden they try to go back at the information. Not going to get geometry right that way, I'm sorry. You're going to struggle yourself to pieces. Next question. Prove that S is equal to P2. What the hell what am I going to do? I'm going to be clear. Make S X. Let S be equal to X. Because if I can then prove that P2 is also X, then I know that they are equal. Okay, so let's try. I haven't done this. How many marks? Oh, 5 marks. Oh, this is a difficult one. So let's say S is X. Yes, Walter. Oh, this boy's on fire. Ladies, you're looking for future husband. You know, this man's on fire. You know? Yeah, Walter.
So what you're going to do is, obviously we proved, so we'll prove the angles that we already have, that we're going to be using. But, so we can see that R1 and P1 is equal.
Okay, here he gets to a very important thing. Do not forget what you already did. You already have R1 being equal to P1. Use it. Okay? Okay, yes?
Yes, so then what we're going to say is, we're going to say, well, we know P1 plus P2 is equal to 90.
Yeah?
Angles in the semicircle.
Okay, so I'm working with a P2 here. So P1 plus P2 is 90. So automatically I can say, well, P2 is 90 minus P1, right?
90 minus P1, yes.
Yeah?
And then we'll keep that in mind. And then we're going to go R1 is equal to, was it 180 minus 90? Right, yeah. Yeah, so then you have
180 minus 90, yes?
Yeah, minus, yeah, so then, which is,
Minus?
oh, sorry, minus P3, sorry. No? Sorry,
R1 is P3 minus 90 minus?
sorry, minus S, sorry.
Minus S.
Minus S, sorry.
Yeah.
So then, which is 90 minus S?
Okay, so I've got this is 90 minus
S, minus S.
S. So in other words, this is 90 minus X.
Yes. And then we said that R1 is equal to P2.
Okay, so R1 is equal to P2. Well, we actually haven't proved it.
Okay, so we can prove that.
So R1 is equal to T,
Yeah.
which is equal to
Which is equal to P1.
P1. So in other words, R1, or P1 I mean, is 90 minus X. But what do we know about P1 and P2? No, P1 and P2. 90. So in other words, so P1, so this is 90 minus X. Plus P2 must be 90, so P2 must be Well done. Well done. There's some beautiful mathematics here. Future mathematics star here. I love it. Walter, just look me up on LinkedIn in a few years. I want to track your progress. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can hopefully clearly see, I do not walk into a sun like this, I'm just going to go home. You need to plan the sun. Now, when I look at the last one, and I'm not going to go through all of this because unfortunately time is against us. They're asking me to prove that. I.e., what are they actually asking me? Prove that angle is equal to angle P what? P or K? P2. Oh, I just did it. Prove that angle P3 is equal to angle R. Sorry, let me just quickly let me quickly color in my triangles. Triangle SPK, SPK. So that one there, and triangle PRK. RK. So I have angle K2 that is common. I have already proven SPK. PS3 or S equal to P2. So I already have a common, let me just erase this. Let me just try to make this. I already have angle S equal to P2. I have angle K that is common. Automatically it is similar. And now some of you guys go, okay, next question, right? Or do we go, okay, now you write it out and everything. You go, next question, right? No. What do you do? Oh, sorry, sir. SP over PR is equal to SK over PK equal to, is equal to PK over RK. This follows directly from similarity. Before I do anything, I write that down. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to end off with something very important. You guys can go and try this and these sums yourself. It's beautiful, it's lovely. Do not forget at this moment, especially government school students, DBE school students, do not forget, if there are parallel lines, you can use proportional theorems as well. That's a lot of times what happens in this last, because this would be the last question of the exam, that they bring in similarity with proportional theorems. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, I told you guys 2 hours are going to go by quickly. Quickly take a snapshot of that. And we're finishing off with this now. If you go on to that QR code, but I'm going to ask you guys, give it a chance till tomorrow. Maybe, if you can wait that long. I'll give it to you guys again tomorrow. I want to just upload the newest version on everything on this QR code. So I'll give you guys a chance again tomorrow. There I uploaded my not most recent ones, it was last year's one. But all the theory you need to survive your maths exam. And you are most welcome to spread this to all your friends. I don't mind. Print out the books. Spread. If you've got mates that are in grade 11, spread it to them. I don't care. I don't make a single cent out of it. That's just how I roll. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to remember the following. You're only through 25% of your life, if you are blessed enough to live to 72. Please make the most of it. These next 3 days, as the facilitator said earlier, these 3 days you will never again have in your life. Don't let your own hang-ups. The Afrikaners have a saying, "Fimies," which literally means, you know, I don't like to do this, or this is not usually, you know, I don't usually speak to people. I just sit in the corner and, you know, I'm happy. Venture out. This opportunity will not come again. Make the most of it. Enjoy it. I think there's physical science coming up later as well. So enjoy it. And we'll see each other tomorrow, I think 1:30, and we are going to tackle the chapter on probabilities. Because I know you guys suck at probabilities, okay? So I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. Enjoy the junior types, guys. Enjoy it. Sleep well tonight in the hotel. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.